What is up? Let me share with you, in case you're feeling overwhelmed and anxious, how to stay focused on what's important despite being overwhelmed and anxious, okay? 5 steps. Number 1, minimum effective dose. What's the minimum I need to input into this system in order for things not necessarily to progress, but for them to maintain and not decrease, okay? So if you've been eating well, might be working out, and you're overwhelmed right now with other things pulling you in life, you gotta ask yourself, what's the littlest I need to do in order for me not necessarily to progress, but just to keep this one area in my life still going, while everything else is kind of taking me off my course, so to speak. And the minimum effective dose is maintenance. Is just doing a little bit. Even if you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have time to do an hour workout. What about a 5-minute workout? Like, what about a 2-minute workout? What about 1 2-minute blank? Like 2 minutes. Literally 2 minutes. Okay? Number 2, if you feel like you have space, even if you don't, you have a little bit of time in the day for yourself. And so what I want you to think about is not a huge amount of momentum, but a small amount of momentum. Just a little bit, just a tiny little bit. 1 step forward, maybe half a step forward, maybe a quarter of a step forward. It's still forward, even if it's this big, okay? Number 3, progress. So here's one of the reasons why I'm talking about MED, or minimum effective dose, because it's about like momentum at the end of the day, okay? And so this is a way I look at progress. So if you were losing weight week by week, little by little, and then all of a sudden you gained, that much weight you're gonna have to lose again if you put on that much weight, let's say. And so you're taking steps forward, 1 2 3 4, okay? You're moving forward, you're seeing progress, but then all of a sudden you take 2 steps back, and then you have a little momentum, you're 2 steps forward. That's 4 steps to end up in the same spot. When in reality, you didn't have to take 2 steps backwards or 2 steps forward, you just didn't have to do anything and then maintain. Because at the end of the day, progress is not always about moving forward. It's sometimes about not moving backwards, because you're gonna have to replace those steps. And so this is what I want you to think about if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling like, man, I got so much on my plate right now. Sometimes it's not about moving forward or backwards. It's just about staying right where you are. Tiny steps is still progress. Little mini baby steps is still progress. Even maintaining is still progress. Another way of looking at it is you've entered a new weight, you've entered a new level, and if you've been here longer than you've been at your higher weights, congrats to you, because that's an accomplishment in it and of itself. And last but not least, a little basic tip for simplicity. 2 tools to make life super simple when it comes to prepping your meals. Get a slow cooker, get an air fryer. A slow cooker, me and my wife literally made lunch and dinner in less than 10 minutes. We had hamburger patties defrosted from last night. We took 4 ingredients: tomatoes, cucumbers, mushrooms, and hamburger patties. We just took the hamburger patties, right? We split it in half, made little meatballs, put it all in a crock pot, and turned on. 4 hours later, 5 hours later, it was done. And so how long would it take to cut up like 4 tomatoes, 2 cucumbers or courgettes, mushrooms, and then roll up like 8 hamburger patties and just toss them in? It was less than 10 minutes. So in less than 10 minutes, 2 people had enough for lunch and dinner. And it was 10 minutes of prep. And so a lot of times I think when people are overwhelmed and anxious, they have a lot of things pulling them in different directions. They're seeing this as a circumstance, or they're like, you know what, I don't have time. Or it's more like, you do have time. You're getting in your own head. But here are just a few tips for you to stay focused on what's important despite being overwhelmed and anxious. So hopefully you learned something from this. Take action, and hopefully this helped you get out of your own head and out of your own way. Much love. This is B. Peace.